Welcome back to America's Locked Up Legends. You guys might have seen that viral YouTube short about Tommy Thompson. Well, we're going to dive deep into his whole story today.
Yeah, what gets me about this one is it's this crazy mix of history and the law. We're
Mhm.
talking shipwrecks from the gold rush, millions in treasure, the guy disappears like a spy, and then there's this whole courtroom drama that's been going on for almost 10 years.
Yeah, and it could be a movie. So let's go back to 1988. Tommy Thompson, our main character. He's a scientist, an inventor, and he loves the ocean. He's obsessed with finding the SS Central America. It's this legendary ship that sank in 1857. It was carrying a ton of gold.
And it wasn't just any ship. The SS Central America was like the symbol of the gold rush. It was carrying gold from prospectors, businesses, even the U.S. Army payroll was on there. And when it sank in a hurricane off the coast of the Carolinas, it shocked the nation. It caused this huge financial panic. They called it the Panic of 1857.
So this ship and all its treasure, it just disappears. It's lost in the Atlantic for over 100 years. Then Tommy Thompson comes along. What did he do that was so different? How did he find it when everyone else failed?
So Thompson was like a pioneer in deep sea tech. He spent years making these advanced sonar systems, and he built remotely operated vehicles, like underwater robots that could handle the pressure and search a shipwreck miles below the surface.
So we're not talking scuba gear and a metal detector.
No way. This was cutting edge stuff, way ahead of its time.
And that's why finding it in 1988 was such a big deal.
Exactly. His team found the SS Central America, over 8,000 feet underwater. Most people thought that was impossible back then.
Can you imagine being there when they started bringing up the gold coins and bars, like they were pulling up history itself?
It was huge news. Headlines called it one of the greatest deep-sea treasure discoveries ever. People were just captivated by finding this lost gold, this tangible link to the gold rush.
And Thompson must have been feeling pretty good, like he'd done something no one thought was possible.
He was called a genius, a modern-day Indiana Jones. But as with a lot of stories about treasure, things were about to get complicated.
That's where the legal stuff starts, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone wanted a piece of the gold.
Exactly. 39 insurance companies came forward. They said they had rights to the gold because they'd insured it back in 1857. They'd paid out on claims when the ship sank. So they said they were the rightful owners.
So now there's this legal question. Do insurance claims from over a century ago still count when a shipwreck is found? I bet that got the attention of lawyers and historians.
Oh, for sure. And on top of that, Thompson was also getting sued by his investors. They'd put millions into the expedition. And they wanted their money back. We're talking $12.7 million they said he owed them.
So he's stuck between these insurance companies and the people who gave him the money. That's a lot of pressure. What did he do?
Well, this is where things get really weird. In 2012, a federal judge ordered Thompson to show up in court. He had to say where 500 gold coins were. They were made from the recovered treasure. They were worth $2.5 million. And the judge wanted to know where they went.
But he didn't show up.
Nope.
He just disappeared.
Vanished.
Like he was in the witness protection program.
He started living under fake names. He was even paying his rent with moldy $100 bills.
He was trying to disappear completely.
Yeah, it seems like it. They even found him with a book called How to Be Invisible. He was really trying hard to avoid those questions about the coins.
So he stayed hidden for 3 years. But they eventually found him, right?
Oh, yeah. In 2015, U.S. Marshals found him. He was at a hotel in Florida. That was the end of his time on the run.
And now the story changes. It's not about a treasure hunt anymore. It's a full-on legal drama.
Exactly. Yeah, it totally changed the story. All the excitement about finding the treasure was gone. Now it was all about those missing coins and how Thompson was trying to hide from the courts.
Okay, so they finally caught him. Did they send him straight to jail?
Well, they arrested him. He was charged with failing to show up in court. Remember that original court order? It was to tell him about the coins. He didn't even have to give them back.
So you'd think he would have just shown up, answered the questions, and gotten it over with.
You would think, but then he'd have to tell his secret.
Right.
So anyway, he pleaded guilty to that charge, failing to appear in court. And they sentenced him to 2 years in prison and a $250,000 fine.
2 years doesn't sound that bad.
That's
For all the trouble he went through to hide.
I know, right? But there was a catch. Part of that plea deal was that he had to answer questions about the missing coins and help them get them back.
So it was like a deal. Tell us about the coins. And you get a lighter sentence.
Exactly. But then during these meetings with the authorities, Thompson says something crazy. He says he can't remember where the coins are. He said he had chronic fatigue syndrome. And that was messing with his memory.
Wait, He's saying he forgot where he put millions of dollars in gold coins.
Yep, that's what he's saying.
But this is the same guy who disappeared, used fake names, burner phones. It doesn't seem like someone so careful would just forget about something so valuable.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
So what did the judge do?
He didn't believe it either. The judge thought Thompson was just refusing to cooperate. So in December 2015, the judge found Thompson in contempt of court because he wouldn't say where the coins were. And that contempt charge came with a big penalty.
How big?
He had to stay in jail indefinitely. And he had to pay a fine of $1,000 every day until he said where the coins were.
Wow, $1,000 a day.
Yeah, that adds up fast.
So how long has he been in jail?
Over 8 years now, and those fines are over $2.7 million. He's basically a prisoner of his own silence.
Has he said anything at all? Any little hints?
He's given a few clues. He said he put the coins in a trust in Belize.
Belize. Isn't that known for offshore banking?
Exactly. It's a popular place where people hide money.
But he didn't give any details about this trust. Does it even exist?
No one knows.
So it's a mystery. Did he really send the coins to Belize? And if he did, where are they now? It's like a treasure map with a missing X.
It is. This case has been in the news for years. People love the idea of this hidden treasure, and Thompson won't say anything about it.
So we have this guy, he finds a fortune, he goes to extremes to avoid talking about part of it, and then he says he forgot where it is.
It's a crazy story.
But if he really did forget, wouldn't it be better to just cooperate so he could get out of jail?
That's the big question. Some people believe he really has forgotten, maybe because of the stress or his health problems, but a lot of people think he's just hiding the truth.
Why would he do that?
Some think he's waiting to get out so he can go get the coins himself. Others think he might have already spent the money or moved it somewhere where no one can find it.
So it's a psychology puzzle as much as it is a legal one.
For sure.
We've talked a lot about the legal stuff, all the also trying to avoid questions about the coins. But his lawyers are fighting for him. What are they saying?
They're trying to get him released. They say he's been in jail too long for contempt of court.
How long do people usually stay in jail for that?
Usually no more than 18 months. So Thompson's been in there way longer than that.
So his lawyers are saying he served his time.
Yeah, basically.
Are they saying anything else?
They're also talking about his chronic fatigue syndrome. They say it's gotten worse in prison, and he's not getting the right medical care. They say keeping him in jail is only hurting his health.
So they're trying to make him look like a victim.
Pretty much.
And is it working?
Maybe.
It sounds like things might be looking up for him, even though he still hasn't said where those coins are. Have there been any updates about him maybe getting out of jail?
Yeah, there have been some big changes lately. It seems like the judge and the prosecutors are kind of getting tired of Thompson not cooperating. They're starting to realize that keeping him locked up might not be the best way to get him to talk.
So they might actually let him go after all this time.
It's looking that way. The prosecution has said they think the contempt order should be lifted. That would mean Thompson could finally serve his original 2-year sentence, the one for not showing up in court back in 2015.
So he could be out of prison soon. That's crazy after all this time.
It is. But even if he does get out, they can still ask him about the coins and all those lawsuits against him. Those are still going on.
So the legal stuff isn't over. But at least he might be free. But what about the treasure? Can he keep any of it? I mean, the insurance companies and investors are still waiting for their share.
That's a tough one. It's hard to say what'll happen with those lawsuits and if he'll be able to keep any of the money. But here's the thing. Even though Thompson's in prison, people are still fascinated by his story.
Really? People still care about the SS Central America and the treasure?
Oh, yeah. In 2022, one of the biggest gold bars from the shipwreck, it was sold at an auction for over $2 million.
Wow. So the treasure's still making news.
It is. And there's more. National Geographic and the BBC, they're making a TV show about Thompson, all about the discovery, the legal battles, the missing coins, the whole thing. And a new book's coming out, too. It tells the whole story of the SS Central America.
So even though he's in prison, people are still really into Tommy Thompson's story. Do you think we'll ever find out what happened to those coins? Will he finally tell us if he gets out?
Who knows? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, Tommy Thompson's story is like a mix of history, adventure, mystery, and legal drama. It makes you think about what you'd do in that situation.
It really does. Would you keep a secret, even if it meant staying in jail and maybe losing a fortune?
It's a question people will be talking about for a long time.
Well, that's the story of Tommy Thompson, the treasure hunter whose greatest discovery might end up being the key to his freedom. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive on America's locked up legends. We'll see you next time.